Welcome to another episode of When We Heal, the World Heals. I'm Trish Hay, your host. So excited for my guest today, Kathy Brook-Wong, who is a friend, but also a wonderful advanced Reiki practitioner, a Reiki master, an instructor, and a sound healer. She's also a community connector. I met her through one of her community connection groups. I was invited to her home where I was greeted with so much love and so much compassion at a time I really needed it. So she's just really this like loving energy spirit, and I know she loves to bring people together and create healing circles and healing communities. So even though we know each other in a lot of group settings, I really don't know a lot about you personally. So I'm excited for you to share with us. I know you shared that to become the woman you are today, you have gone through some some obstacles in life, to become the light worker you are today. So welcome to the show. I'm so thrilled. Thank
Thank
you for being
you.
here.
Thank you. This is such so much fun and such a pleasure and honor. Thank you for inviting me to, share my story and where I am and the my journey to heal and journey to really grow into this woman that can hold the space for so many others healing.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do that so beautifully. Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so I really would love to hear whatever you feel comfortable sharing about. I know you've had some childhood traumas, and do you want to go ahead and start there and share a little bit about that, and then how that evolved?
Yeah, sure. And again, thank you for, giving me this opportunity to share because throughout my life, at school and, when I go and in work, people see me as very cheerful and loving and, happy and optimistic and really just such a positive person. So most people don't know that kind of backstory, that childhood, you know, journey that I experienced from even from when I was just a baby. So I was born into a family with, mother, father, and two older siblings. My sister's 5 years older, and my brother's 2 years older. And when I was only 13 years old, my father committed suicide. And you can imagine that, a baby, a very young, innocent baby being in that situation with my mom being, you know, deep in grief and surprise and just incredible loss and not prepared like from her childhood how to um, how to face different struggles of the world. She was very overprotected as a child. So anyway, I was born into this family. I feel like before I was born, I came into this world to be in this family. But of course, as a baby, you don't know those things. And then looking back, I'm like, wow, yes, I chose this family. Anyway, when after he died, my mother with three small children came to California to start a new life. And during my childhood, she tried to look look for love or look for, a partner. So in my lifetime, she's married 4 times. So having a father pass away and then another person that she married when I was young, I identified as a father, and then he leaves, and then another father comes in that is an alcoholic.
Oh,
So in my junior high school years, having this kind of, sorry to say, but he wasn't like that ugly alcoholic, the kind of person that we had to leave the house sometimes because of out of fear of violence. So that is just something that has been part of my life. And after she divorced the alcoholic, then there was another man she married. And so what some people don't know is that when I was going into my sophomore year, she moved out of the house to live with this man. And although I lived in Fountain Valley, and she lived in the Back Bay, Newport Back Bay. She had left the house to be with this man leaving me with my brother who's, so I was 14, he was 16. My sister was 5 years older. And so she's around, but, I was sort of raising myself in a way and she's a loving woman. She's a good woman. She's, really saw me and loved me. I knew I was loved. So in a way, I didn't feel abandonment from her. But looking back, of course, there was sort of like, in the high school years without mom, and she came back again. So the two of them moved back, and I don't, stare. I don't tell the story very often because I'm not talking from abandon, not from victimhood or poor me or anything, but I do appreciate you're giving me opportunity to share that on the outside, I can look very ideal life or very optimistic and like
Yeah.
not a care in the world, but it is just part of I still feel it in the body, even though I've healed from it, that having my mother move out when I was in high school, then move back in. And just to complete this part of the story, when I was a senior in high school, I went to Israel for half a year, like junior year abroad. I was in Israel.
Mhm.
And during that time, she sold the house. And well, I knew that she was going to do that. She sold the home and she moved to the Northern California. So when I came back from Israel, I actually physically didn't have a home. And I stayed with a family that I didn't know from my high school for the remainder of my senior year. So yeah, just taking a deep breath with that. Even after the healing and
Yeah.
even after I see my mother, I see what she did. She did her very best. She did the best she could with her situation, and I did the best I could with my situation. So I did do well in school. I was, the straight A student and in band and all these things. But underneath, even going to college and getting my master's and doing really well with relationships, and my relationships were men, there's still that feeling of not enoughness. And I think a lot of people suffer from this not enough, right?
Right.
So there's a feeling of the not enough, or, in spite of all the accomplishments, I still felt something inside of the lack of self-worth. And the growing up without a father as a young woman was often a struggle because I would see families with fathers and mothers, and then I didn't have that father. Is that feeling abandoned from a man that was supposed to be there to protect me was something that I needed to try to figure out, and just to remember the few times where I just cried and I just thought, if I were lovable enough, or if I was bright enough, I could have saved him. I
Oh,
could, if I was lovable enough, he would have, from a young woman's perspective,
right.
if I was lovable enough, he wouldn't have died. But, that's a hard burden for a young person, right?
Absolutely.
And I've done a lot of work, healing and work and energetic work to understand from his perspective. We could talk about that, but I could understand from his perspective what struggles my father had, that it was nothing to do with me or not me. For whatever years, whatever months, 13 months old when he passed,
Right.
I did make a difference in his life. But it was a journey to learn that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. As an adult, and when you're healed and you look back, you can look at it differently. But when you're a child, you just get that message sometimes, like you said, like I wasn't enough. And those childhood stories that then we take into our adulthood and our relationships. Um, and like you said, even recognizing it's like your mom, like we could have these really loving figures that were doing their best, but at the same time, we didn't get our needs met, right? So then we're left
Mhm.
as women, like now to go and heal it, so that we can become whole and healed and worthy. And I'd love to hear from you, like what was the turning point? What were some of the things that helped you to know that you are enough
Yeah. Thank
and that you
you. That's a
are
wonderful. Yes. I would love to add just a little bit, with that childhood, and having seen my mother in different relationships and everything. I was grateful that I was able to trust men, trust myself with men, have good relationships. And I did get married when I was, 28, and we ended up having, the home and kids and all that. But I did marry a man that I was married to almost 28 years, 27 years. But I married a man that's part of my story, was that there was love and a loving family, but he wasn't emotionally available to me sometimes. So it was a marriage that um, I was able to kind of live that dream of having children and having a home and raising them in love, but he was emotionally distant sometimes. So I'm a very outgoing person, a very loving person, and I, full of life, and I like to, go out and do things. But there was oftentimes he was more of an introvert, and he rather stay home. And he wasn't as like, into loving people and outgoing as I am. So I did a lot of things alone in those days, even though we were together. Some people didn't even know I was married sometimes. So that's part of my journey, is that I formed a belief, let's say, that my man is not there for me.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of the self-worth and not feeling lovable enough. I knew I was lovable because I was lovable in all my relationships, but it was sort of that man situation that he wasn't available to me sometimes. So my journey to my healing, or to really, is I've done several types of energy work and conferences, but about 20 years ago, I was introduced to a woman. Her name's Ellie Benfati, and together we did something called family constellation, and family and something called Orasoma. And so family constellations are, have you heard of family constellations?
You're the second person to share about family constellations. Someone else just told me about it recently, and I was really curious about it, and it really helped her and her family. So I would love to hear more about it because I don't know much.
I did tremendous. So before I became a Reiki practitioner, so this was 20 years ago. Yes, with Ellie Bonfatti, we did some family constellations, which is a therapeutic approach that reveals and heals hidden dynamics within family and ancestral lineages. So it's really a wonderful process to explore how unresolved issues and traumas and patterns from previous generations can impact in present day relationships and health and well-being. And so family constellations was developed by a German psychotherapist named Bert Hellinger in the 1990s.
Okay.
So through this work with um, it's like Ellie was a facilitator, and often it was in a group setting, and different people would stand in for family members. I would tell her about I like to work on, my lack of self-worth because my father, suicide, and the people didn't know that that was a situation. It's a wonderful process that the the people in the constellation, let's say there's, someone's my father and someone's my mother and somebody's me. They stand in, and then we're informed the energy. Like there's an energy field that has this information, and I don't need to go into the details right now, but each member is informed and it feels it in the body. And there's a process of movement and words and putting the family constellation, like, a family's like a mobile. And when some things are off in that family, the whole family dynamic is off. And
Mm.
so through this process, it's able to put in order like say the right order. Like there's a mother and there's a father. My sister didn't have to take care of me just because my mother was off. And I didn't, I was just a baby. I was just a child. So we worked out that family dynamic. But more importantly, it's so interesting to connect with the generations back to stand in support of our healing, support and also this process helped me to understand and get the get the insight and compassion for my father. He was suffering and he had lack of self-worth and he didn't believe in himself. And it was really his baggage that I took on out of love for him. And in this process, I was able to give back what was his that
Mm.
was not mine. I took on that lack of self-worth for him out of love, and my mother too, whatever her issues were. And so that's something that's really important for, like, say, the listeners to know is that there's a family connection. There's things from our great grandparents or grandparents or our parents out of love we take on for them. But in this process for me, I was able to say, please take this back, what's yours, and allow me to step into my power in my life and be blessed. It was such a beautiful process.
Oh, thank you for sharing
Ah,
that. And I mean, part of
yeah,
this podcast is, of course, we want to hear women's journeys, but also the different modalities of healing. And so people can look into that because someone
yes,
else shared it really helped them as well. And like you said, we're dealing with not just our parents, but their parents, like generations back. And then there comes a point that there's a person, like I know I'm that person to really break and heal those chains. And
yes,
someone comes along in the family that does that. It sounds like that was you, too.
yes, yes. And I felt really wonderful because I was able to heal through this process, heal my father, even though he's on the other side of the veil, heal
Hmm.
my mother, and maybe bring peace to my grandparents because you can imagine grandparents losing, parents losing a child.
Right,
And
right,
then I was able with myself to heal forward. My kids are free of this burden. The generations, they say 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. So
right.
yes, it is when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. Isn't that the name of your
Yes, true,
podcast? It's
true. Yeah,
so
yeah.
true. And also, just around that, and I'd love to share about how I got into Reiki.
Okay.
Um, I was also able to heal and put in my place the dynamics of my with my husband, me, and my kids. So because and I don't share this very often, but because just the family dynamics, sometimes, the attention that I didn't get from my husband, I would just, dote on my son. And, he was just this loving, adoring, person that looked up to me and made me feel so special. And then my husband often just got so much love and attention from the daughter, and so with this work, I was able to see, yes, even if I didn't get needs met, and I knew I was loved, but I didn't see love the way that felt really great. Um, I knew that my attention should be on the building of the relationship with my husband, and that my son gets to be a little son and not take on, sometimes single
Mhm.
mothers, just have their son as a companion. But he is so that dynamic really healed too. And so thank you for letting me share this story, which I don't share too often. The power of family constellation, but also Ellie was a Reiki healer and a very gifted healer. So that's how was my introduction to Reiki, was that sometimes Ellie would have Reiki sessions with me. And I want to share one in particular that really stands out about the power of Reiki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, please do. And then explain a little bit for people that have never heard of Reiki, what it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yes, I know that you're a Reiki master and so am I. Oh, Reiki is a energy form, is a traditionally Japanese, it came from a Japanese man named Usui, Takao Usui, and it's a healing art form. I could say it's a healing art form and a mindfulness practice, and it's a way to act to connect with universal life force energy or life energy or that life energy that breathes and moves through everything and through us, and to use this energy to with intention for healing others, ourselves, and there's so many uses, but that's a little bit about what it is. So I had heard about the word Reiki, and she would um, some of the sessions were combinations of family constellation or something called aura soma, and then Reiki. One particular session that I remember that was so powerful and I'll never forget is around the same time that I was delivering my daughter Sarah, my firstborn, to college, which is a life transition. My sister was having a heart transplant.
Wow.
So what dropped off daughter, went to sister. My sister, my brother had passed by before then.
Oh, I'm
She was
sorry.
having a heart transplant, and my former Gordon was on the trip with us. And these were two really major events in my life, right, back to back. And on the way home, he was just very shut down. I don't think he knew how to comfort me in my, wondering if my sister was going to die or, my daughter's moved away. So he just didn't know how to comfort me. So that was a time where he was unemotionally available. And I called up Ellie and said, Ellie, can you please do a Reiki session? So I went to her home. It was really the lowest point in my, let's say, marriage, thinking, always thought, okay, this is going to work out. And, for life, I made this commitment, but I was really shaky about that. And I was just out of sorts, I guess you can say, really out of who I really am. And so within 1 hour, she did Reiki. Within 1 hour, I was completely brought back to myself from stress and hopelessness and just being so down. And then I was so light. And I'm sure, you've also experienced that with your Reiki, your
Yeah.
Reiki clients. And I have too, feeling hopeful, feeling happy again, ready to rock and roll and ready to go and ready to just step into this next chapter of my life with my daughter being gone and the transition and so hopeful about the marriage. So it was really a transformative experience for me, and I at that time I didn't start Reiki, to become a Reiki master or anything or start my
Hmm.
Reiki path, but I just remembered that it was really a fabulous experience and process.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, the power of Reiki, I always have a hard time explaining to people what Reiki is. I'm like, can I just please do it on you so you can feel it? Because it's so hard to like explain it to me. But for me, it was very powerful the first time I experienced it as well, that I was like, what is this? I want to learn how to do it. So I could do it on myself and others, but um, it is very powerful. Reiki is a very powerful healing tool. And so thank you for you explained it better
Yes.
than I can, because I always have a hard time. Then when I tell people, well, let's just do it. Will you try it? You just have to like lie there. And then people are like, wow, that was amazing, once they get that first interaction. But
Yes.
a very
Yes.
powerful tool for releasing and healing and like balancing just everything. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's so, just in this one experience, emotionally, I just came back to myself. And physically, I felt back in my body, open, relaxed,
Mm,
um, vibrant. And then spiritually, Reiki is such a powerful tool, and that healing spiritually was just feeling more connected with the universe, knowing that everything has a purpose. All these different levels, right?
right.
That Reiki can heal. But it wasn't fast forward about 6 years ago. I had always felt I was kind of knew inside that I was a healer, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how, just empathically, send love and light if I was driving down the freeway and, see a car accident. How many of us healers, we're driving like,
Yes, sending
sending
love
that
and light.
prayer, sending that love and light, or
Yeah.
just, putting my hand on someone's back just to
Yeah.
soothe them. And just like, may they be healed, and may they be healed, and may they be healed, and all of that. But I
Yeah.
didn't know actually how that works. So I did know that when I found at the right time, the right opportunity came up, that I would, start my Reiki practice. So 6 years ago, I found my Reiki master teacher. She was doing a sound bath with a mutual friend. And I saw her, I go, oh, okay, she's the one for me. Like there's a lot of yoga instructors, and there are a lot of instructors, and they're beautiful. And it's like, what is that yoga instructor that you really jive with? That you really, what is your flavor of, say, yoga instructor? And
Right.
for me, it was like when I saw Practitioner, I felt, okay, she's the one I want to start my Reiki journey. So yes, I did Reiki 1 with her, Reiki 2, and this was back about 2018.
Mhm.
And then a friend of mine told me about Carrie Draper in Huntington Beach. She's fabulous. A lot of people know her.
Oh, yeah, that's where I
You know
learned.
Carrie Draper?
Mary Draper. Yeah, I learned there as well.
Ah.
Yes, that's
So
cool.
I took a weekend training, and then I was a Kundalini Reiki master.
Awesome.
And so that is fabulous. And then after that, in January 2020, I did my advanced Reiki. And then right when after the pandemic started, in April of 2020, then I did my Reiki mastery. And that was just an opening. Well, not only was it healing for me, obviously, it was healing for me energetically to have this resource, have this wonderful resource when, when there's those chaotic days, or the thoughts are going, or I'm, stressed out, too many things. And, during these times, there's a lot of tension and stress just because of the political system and all the things that are going on. So it
Right.
was a time that I could, as a tool that I can go in and just really share Reiki with myself and calm myself down,
Yeah.
and feeling grounded again. But when I became a Reiki master, and during the pandemic, that just blew everything open in a way that it was that up leveling, energetic up leveling. And so the very next week, I was on Zoom. I had just learned how to, use Zoom like 2 weeks before. I was on Zoom. I started my first Reiki and healing art circle. So I don't know if you knew about that part of my life. Is that for
No,
two
I
years I
didn't.
did
Was that since
online,
I
sort of
met
like
you?
this podcast, but it was like a workshop. It was a workshop where people all over the world can join to learn about Reiki, but then I bring in another healer, another light worker, another, you know, person who had an opportunity to share their tools, like their ways of healing.
Yeah.
Anything from chair yoga to, you know, toning and chanting, and it was really fabulous. But I, I think that was really powerful time for me to step into my loving to connect people, right? And also the healing and the teacher in me. So maybe what you don't know about me is I'm an ESL teacher. My day job, I've been teaching English as a second language in community college since I was 18. Did you know that, Trish?
Yeah, I know you do that too. Yeah, in addition to
Okay.
all of these wonderful events you offer and yeah.
Thank you. So the teacher in me and the connector in me, we did online. We did online workshops so people can have tools they can use to get themselves through the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter and all the stress that was, and the
Mhm.
fear and stress that people were feeling. So
Yeah.
that gets me to, yeah, that gets me to sound sound bath
Oh
and
yeah.
sound
When did
healing.
when did the sound healing come in for you?
Yeah. So I had gone to some sound baths, and they felt amazing. So a sound bath is when there's different healing instruments, different instruments. Often they're, you know, sound bowls. This is a crystal sound bowl, and I'll tell you more about it later. But it can be the moving of like a mallet on the sound bowl, making a vibration. It could be metal, like Tibetan bowls. But a sound bath is when there's the vibrations of the bowls and the instruments, the vibration and the tones vibrate into your body. And so the sound bath is when there's usually you're bathed with the sounds and the frequencies of these instruments. And I'll tell you a little more about what all that is, like what does it feel like and how does it work? But
Yeah.
going back to, I had experience in sound bath, and then 1 year after the pandemic started, and a lot of us, well, we were in our homes, we didn't interact very much. I went to a sound bath. And my friend invited me to, and I remember lying down in that sound bath, and in a way, for me, what happens is often I get in a very, very high high spiritual level. My body feels like it's floating, and I get into another state, like a meditative state. And during that meditation, I got the message into like this intuitive message, like time to go out, time to connect, time to like you're too small to be in this space. Like the online is really great, and doing healing in my home with a few people or doing distance Reiki healing was great, but it was like that message, time to go out and share. And I remember by the end of that sound bath, I could I could barely speak because it was just such a transformative like download. And I remember at the end of the sound bath, I didn't even know what it was going to be called or anything, which turned out to be my Healing Journey series. It was Kyle Lamb. He was his sound bath. And I knew that he had a good reputation, but at the end of the sound bath, I'm like, Kyle, I'm going to be doing these in-person in healing and connection circles. Will you come, be my first person? And I do this online, will you can I interview you about sound healing? Can you believe
It was
that?
just immediate that you just did it. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah. And I went home, and then I went home and started writing. I planned out how my healing journey series would be, how who I wanted to have, how it was going to be. And that was from that one sound bath experience that I got a download that was powerful for me to step in. And so the next month, Kyle Land came, and then somebody else did a yoga in my home in my backyard. And then I did a Earth Day. This singer, this beautiful singer, Kelly Fitzgerald, and we did Earth Day, and we just started doing
Yeah.
all these events in person with different healers, and and that leads me to these last few years where I have the women's connection and all that. So
Mhm.
that's my introduction to sound healing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I
But
will say the
yeah,
first time I experienced sound healing, I was just like, wow. Like
yeah, what was your experience?
it just took me to another level. I had done meditation and then I was in a sound bath and I could feel it. I'm like, this is going through my cells. Like I felt like my DNA is changing. Like it was so peaceful though, but it was like a deeper meditative state. I mean, it was just another level of peace. Um,
Yeah.
and definitely I could think more clearly afterwards. It was nice. I was in a circle, I was able to share. But I then I was like, this is powerful. Like at that time, I was like, okay, when can I sign up for another sound bath? Like, because I felt that, since then I had the opportunity to go to your sound baths, which are so beautiful, and your meditations, and you really are such a community connector. And the way you've done these healing journeys, I've been able to come to some of them, and they are so loving and so beautiful. The way you work with these different healers and you complement one another and just really have a gift for creating spaces, which online, like I'm grateful for online because there was a time I could only see things online, right? but
Yeah.
nothing replaces being in person and getting to connect and, getting the loving hug. I remember you bringing me cups of tea and I was like, oh, this is so nice. So you really curate those spaces really beautifully. And you're always having something new, it seems like. So it's really exciting. It's like, oh, now Kathy's doing this with that person. And it's like, I wish I could go to all
Thank
of them. They're
you.
always, every single time it's like, wow, that sounds amazing. And then that sounds amazing. So
Thank you. Yeah, there's some things I'm very passionate about, and one of them is just connecting with other people, like being in front of you and having this conversation that really feeds
yeah.
me. But bringing people in person for community and healing, to healing community, yeah, is very, very powerful, and it brings me so much joy to hear, like, from each person, like, why are you here? What is your intention? What brought you here? To
Mm,
see them starting to open and be receptive and transformation could be in little subtle ways. It doesn't have to be like they're a
right.
brand new person, but then also to see them connect with each other, the new friendships that are formed, right? With
Yeah.
the people, the participants, for example, of that women's connection circle or just any of the circles. But
Yeah.
also, yes, working with another, healer that might be my strength to bring people in and have like this platform and organize and invite. But some people don't have that outlet, like this last that they don't have those ways they can share their gifts and talents. Like this very last healer, um, Spirit Hawk, we did a shamanic journey and connect with grief, and she's a storyteller, and she told the most beautiful story and brought us through a journey to connect with the spirit guide, and it was so powerful. And she said she normally says, I don't really share these kinds of things with others. And people who knew her said, I didn't know she had these. She was such a strong healer and storyteller. So that is something that brings a lot of joy, that I can help other people share their gifts and talents.
Share the,
We
yeah.
have so much to share, and some people just don't know that, or they're embarrassed, or they don't know how to tell people, or they just, so it's like you're giving me opportunity to share, right? It's
Yeah, and it's
wonderful to do.
beautiful that you do that. You get to, like you said, people that might not feel comfortable just put themselves out there.
Yes,
You
yes, yes.
recognize that in them, and you can see right away like what you can create with them, and then they have that safety of you're in it with them, you're organizing it. So it's like
Oh yeah.
you can totally see that, and I could see you how lit up you are when you're in these things. Like you're giving so much, but I know you're receiving so much by doing it too. Like you could see it's so clear
Yeah.
you're in your purpose. I mean, you are just like glowing when you're doing it too. Which is like so important to me. It's like we want to
Yeah.
do what we love and be in our purpose, and so I see that
Yes.
in you. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So beautiful. Yeah. I'm so excited that you're going to be you also do it for retreats, and you're going to be at my Sedona retreat doing the like
Oh
welcoming
yes.
sound bath. I'm so excited for that because I know it's going to create such a beautiful welcoming and opening. And
Yes.
I know you do retreats as well and private ones. And
I do. Can I share some of my sound instruments with you?
yeah, show them your sound instruments, and then some people will watch videos, some people will just be listening. So just explain it a little bit. But yeah, please show them so people
Yeah.
can see what are some of your things. And then
Oh,
also, I'll link it, but she's going to treat us to a sound bath too that you can get on a Zoom and experience it with her.
oh
I'll
yeah.
schedule that's going to be November 2nd, so that way people who are listening on this podcast to come to get the Zoom link so you can actually see it. But this will
Yes.
be posted. It will be on video on Venmo and it'll get up on YouTube. But yeah, show us all of your fun things.
Oh,
You
very
always have something
good.
new, it seems like.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I went into LA to do some training. There's another energy form of healing form. It's called advanced energy therapy. And I
Mhm.
was there, I think, for my advanced level. And they had a crystal shop next door, and I heard this glorious sound bowl. And I'm like, oh, what's that? So during my break time, I started playing with the sound bowls. And then after the class, I came home with my 8 sound bowls. So that's how I started. That's the day I started becoming a sound healer. This
Okay.
is one of the crystal bowls. And yes, um, the bowls are made of like 99% crystal. And when they're played or they're sung, they're singing bowls. You
Yeah.
won't be able to hear it, but that emits, can you imagine that there's the earth, the sand, the vibration is coming through something that's in nature. And yeah, so this is the bowl, and I have 8 of those. And they're when they're played together or alone, each one has their vibration that permeates the body that is tuned to a certain frequency, and that frequency is aligned with our chakras. So I have a great big C bowl, and that would, when I play that, um, it vibrates inside the area that's called
Uh-huh.
the root chakra, right? And there's a
Right.
sacral bowl for the sacral chakra. So this one is the highest level. This is they're called the Miracle Bowl. It's at 528 hertz, so it's very high C.
Okay.
And it and you had talked about it felt like it was healing your DNA. This
Yeah.
one is believed that when the vibrations, frequencies come into the body, that it is um, transmuting the DNA, releasing tension, releasing, all uh, the trauma that's stored in the body is released, and whatever intention is, it heightens it. But anyway, I showed you again. This is a Tibetan bowl. So it just has a different tone and vibration.
Is it
Um,
made out of brass or what is that made out of, the little Tibetan?
you know what? This one I forgot it right at this moment. Is a little
Okay.
one. This one you won't be able to hear, but I use it mostly to start a meditation or end. I know some people have they're Tibetan bowls. And if
Hmm.
people who are listening to this podcast want to go to YouTube or Spotify, they can find music or the chants or the singing of Tibetan bowls. Yes. But I love show and tell. I'm a teacher by
Yeah,
the
I
way.
want to see all your stuff. Now, what is this?
So sound healing can be with bowls, but there's also chimes. And these are different color coded. You see the colors. So each one is
Yeah.
out of the vibration of the root chakra, the
I was
sacral
wondering.
chakra, right? The solar plexus, the heart, the throat, third eye, and the crown.
Oh,
What also something you may not know about me is also I volunteer to meet with hospice patients, and I share Reiki with them, but recently I've been doing sound therapy with a few of the clients or patients. So
oh, I love that.
I'll bring these chimes to one of my clients or patients, and she'll touch it, she'll hear it. I'll
Oh,
play it she'll play with the mallet. And so it's a beautiful, if you can imagine these beautiful chimes playing one by one all together.
oh,
I also have a great big, so again, thank you for giving me this. I love to share. Look at this
oh, that is
beautiful.
beautiful too.
And so it also has,
Also has all the
all
chakras.
the different tones
Hmm.
from root to the, what would be associated with the crown. So playing one by one, playing a little song, playing them all. And this is real beautiful because you changes the sound. Unfortunately, people won't be able to hear right now, but you
Right,
could
right.
just try to imagine a
Yeah.
wave of these harmonious, beautifully sounding, but also um, feel so good in the body, right? With the chime.
Mm.
Okay, a few more. Tingsha chimes.
Oh,
This
I
is
have
another.
those. After I experienced you, I remember the sound of those. What are they called again?
Tingsha,
Yeah,
tingsha
I bought
chime.
some in Bali after I saw those. I said, I've got to have those. I've heard the Kathy play these. Yeah, love it.
If you're thinking about like being in a Buddhist temple or being
Yeah,
in a temple with monks, it has a beautiful, beautiful sound.
yeah.
Oh, I have but also when ready, wait for it. So these are
Oh, yeah.
soothing. tuning forks. And
Mhm.
some people might think like, tuning forks is there's a tuning fork, and so you tune your, violin to it or something. But have you ever seen tuning forks in a sound healing?
I've seen them before. I've just seen silver, not colored. Those are so I've only seen one type before, and
Ah,
these are all different, tuned into different ones.
yeah. So tuning forks can be a very powerful healing modality, and the tuning forks are used to create vibrations that resonate within the body, the body energy field, and they promote balance and healing. And when they're struck, so I could strike it against, like, say, my knee or something, they produce precise frequencies that can stimulate the body's own healing processes, reduce tension. They can clear energetic blocks and restore the body to their, harmony. So these can be either played near the ear, so
Mhm.
we can hear it. But if I wish I could do this on you, like if I held this up to your heart, you can feel vibrations in your heart,
Awesome.
or I can put it on the bone and you can feel the vibrations through the bone. And the reason why these are different colors is that there are, you could get tuning forks that are the, A, B, C, D, E, and those tones, but these are the solfeggio tones that are a little bit
Okay.
different. And
Mhm.
hopefully I said that right, solfeggio. But
Yeah.
if you think of like the chanting of the priests back in a certain period of time in a big church, and all those tones that they would sing, and they would just, spiritually lift everyone up. Well, these are set at those tones. So I have one for each. I have 12 of these, and they
Oh,
can be used for different, if someone says, I have problems with my eyes, or someone says, I have a cyst, or whatever they're trying to heal physically, or,
mhm.
or spiritually, or in their body energetically, I can use these. And
If you
so,
can, bring those to the retreat. I know you have a lot of stuff to be bringing already, but if you've got space, it would
yeah,
be fun if you could bring those as well and share them with everyone.
I would love to do that. I would love to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, so excited.
Any more musical toys? I have a question I wanted to ask you about your sound bass, but do you have anything else you wanted to share right
Oh,
on there? What's
I just have some fun shakers. This is just a shaker, but when you hear it, sometimes you can have there's a shaker that can you feel, or a fan with leaves. So you get that sense of nature that's brought into the sound bath. And I'm going to show you one more thing. No one's ever, oh, I'm going to show you two more things. I get so excited. Hold on. No one's ever seen this one before.
okay, let's see. What do you have for us?
Okay, you're going to have to tell me if I could bring to the Sedona. I have a didgeridoo.
Oh, please bring it. Bring everything if you can. As long as it all fits in your car, bring it. Yeah.
So in a sound bath, there could be didgeridoos, rain
I love those.
sticks, ocean drums.
Yeah.
But I'd like to show you my very favorite, my very newest love, though I meditate with every day, and it's my Native American flute. So people do think of sound baths or sound
Beautiful.
healing with, like, say, bowls or gongs, which I don't have any gongs.
Hmm.
But this is Seiheki, named after one of the Reiki symbols. And was so drawn to Native American music. Carlos Nakai, I think his name is, and I played it so much during my Reiki sessions. But this my new friend came in August, so I've been praying and playing with the flute. If
Hmm.
you think about it, it's a piece of tree. It's
Oh,
from nature,
uh-huh.
and I'm able to breathe, to breathe through this life force energy in and through the flute, sending Reiki energy. The sounds are just so soothing. And
Mm.
so I have a special friend who's in hospice now, and I visit her and I visit my Reiki patients, but I'm also playing the flute for them now.
Oh, that's beautiful. I got to hear that at a meditation recently with you, and it's just gorgeous. So to be able to do that for
Yeah.
the hospice patients, it's just I can just visualize it since I was did hospice for many years, and
Oh, yes. Can you
way before I knew
imagine?
about sound healing. Now it's like it's so beautiful that there's Reiki and sound and all these other resources for comfort for them. So I love that you're a
Yeah.
Reiki angel for the
Oh,
hospice as well.
thank
It's so
you.
powerful. That's so
So
powerful.
yes, sound healing and Reiki and just any type of way, whether someone's a singer or, does poetry or
Mhm.
any creative endeavor, to share that with others to uplift them and to love on them and to help people feel better in themselves, better about their life. Anyone who has that type of ability to share with others is very powerful
Yeah, it's
thing.
very powerful. And just on a side note with hospice in general, like if anybody wants to volunteer for hospice, like you don't have to have a specific, you are a gift just to go and be a volunteer and sit with somebody at their bedside, maybe hold their hand or read them a book. Like that's very impactful and is very meaningful. And you can make a big difference in people's lives. So anyone interested, just contact a local hospice because I have found that people that volunteer really get so much out of it, and of course they're helping the people. A lot of people on hospice don't have even a lot of visitors, so having that
Hmm.
companionship and a visitor is so beautiful. It's just a gift if anyone feels called to that too. But before I forget, I wanted to ask you because I always wondered about this.
You
I've
had a
been to a
question.
couple of your sound healings, and like they all, it's all different. And I know we always there's different themes, but like when you're playing like, do you kind of have a plan or is it like an intuition that you feel like what to play with those bowls and then when to bring out the different stuff? Is it just intuitively with the group? Because I've just been to your group things like, but it always feels very different, so do you just feel the vibe? Like how do you do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I love that question. I think that spirit or intuition or creativity or whatever you want to call it moves through me. Yeah, at first I did my like certification, advanced sound healing certification. I wanted to know the science of it and I wanted to know about the history of it and all of that. And then there's, you could play this bowl and that bowl, perhaps together it sounds more pleasing, and this bowl would sound a little more jarring or whatever. But
Mhm.
after I just started to feel more comfortable with it, I let it move through me. So I just center myself, take a moment, just as I do with my Native American flute. And I ask, what wants to move through me? Often I have some beautiful music that I have selected. So I have I love the getting bowls together with, like, say, music. And it could be meditation, like you'd hear at a yoga class, or
Yeah.
it might be flute music. So part of it is like, I'm going to play this music and then I'm going to see, oh, I feel this or that. And sometimes it's more of what does the client need if it's a one-on-one or a
Mhm.
small group, or I do like a small group sound bath for like someone's birthday party or, a small office. And it's sort of what is their intention? If you say,
Okay.
I just broke up, I'm just getting out of a relationship, or I'm leaving my job, or I don't have clarity, I might really play more like the C for grounding. But if someone says, I don't speak my truth, I don't speak of what I really need, I might play the bowl that's more associated to that chakra. So a lot of it has to do with like, what is the intention? But thank you for asking. Is sometimes it's just what plays through me. And I share Reiki too. So in Reiki, we have some symbols that we use um, to to empower the energy and direct the energy for a certain purpose. So I might see the symbol in the bowl and play the bowl, knowing, or I may put my hand on my heart chakra or my, crown or my crown, and I'm playing that, and so I'm sending that vibration, that energy, that intention through that bowl. So yeah, that's how I kind of choose which it's chosen through me, and I just express it. Yeah.
Well, that's what it feels like when I've been in the group one. So I was wondering. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
you're welcome.
Then let's see. Anything else you feel like sharing before you update us with whatever your latest offerings are, that your latest events and things? Like you shared a lot with us today. Thank you so much. I mean, for explaining the Reiki, for being
Mm.
vulnerable about your journey. You know,
Mhm.
is there anything more you want to say about you spoke about your marriage and healing that and how do you feel today as far as a relationship with a man and
Oh,
um,
you're such a sweetie to
you
ask
know,
these questions.
like
You're such a sweetheart. Thank you so much. I think that well, first of all, thank you again for having me, including me, and having this podcast, because I think that, when other people hear different stories and things that people go through, then they're inspired to like, oh, maybe I can, you say, leave to complete a relationship that's not working for me anymore. Or we
Mhm.
haven't even began to talk about my healing the the completion of the relationship after 27 years of marriage, in forgiveness. So maybe we could do another, I'll have to say another
We
podcast
could,
just on
yeah, it sounds
forgiveness.
like we need a whole nother episode about relationships
Yes,
and
but to answer
partnerships
your question, I was able to go on a trip to Ireland when I was just completing the relationship with Gordon, and with the spiritual center I go to, I had a friend who is a psychic who told me that my soulmate was coming in, and I completely did healing of releasing, blessing the marriage, forgiveness, and declaring, this is what I want. This is what I want. Even before I met my partner now, this is what I want. This is what I deserve. I get an opportunity, and I just really declared and envisioned what the partner I'd want to be with is. A week later, that's when I met Doug.
a week later.
My
Wow.
soulmate came in a week later. So that would be another, topic of just how feeling it, how
Mhm.
owning something, but also releasing and forgiving and letting go and letting space in. So I let a lot of space in. And a week later, my soulmate came in, and now we're engaged, and we had 5 year long distance relationship, but he's here, and yes, we're engaged. And um, he's
Congratulations.
also part of that spiritual journey. He's wonderful in supporting me in my sound healing and my Reiki classes and all the things that I do. So thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah. It's you guys, it's a pleasure to see you guys together.
I feel complete now. I was able to kind of finish. The story is a unfolding journey of expansion and really stepping into continuing to expand what I was meant to be on this planet. And so I'm grateful that I've done this work, this energy work, and I was able to get to this place.
Mhm.
But it's not just a place because it's unfolding. In the next year, I'm going to be starting to teach Kundalini Reiki classes, and I haven't done that
Oh,
before. So I'm
awesome.
really excited to expand my offerings in my Reiki classes. And hopefully I'll be doing more sound baths, and things I don't even know yet, right? Even things of ways of healing and connecting people and, being of service. I don't even know what they are. And so it's living with that expectancy that even more and greater will be coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting to not have to know, but to just like know something good's gonna come to you and then you're just gonna flow with it and
I see a retreat in the near future with Trish and I in Bali. Who's ready?
oh my gosh, totally. Yes, because the Bali retreat is coming.
Bali
Absolutely.
retreat.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I'm so excited for we're going to Sedona in a couple weeks. So I'm so excited for
Yes.
that. And that you're part of that and can see what else we can collaborate with. Totally. And then,
Yes.
of course, you teach people Reiki, so people can learn Reiki from you, and they can learn how to do just to do Reiki on themselves, even if they don't want to be a healer working with other people. Like you said, it's a tool you can learn for yourself just to use on your own self. So you teach people how to do that, right? Just
Yes.
yeah.
And I don't know when this is going to be, put out, this podcast, but this Sunday I have a Reiki 1 class. And Reiki also is a mindfulness practice. So we learn breathing and, breath work and
Mhm.
understanding about our energy systems and all that. And yeah, I have Reiki 2 on November 24th. In
Okay.
the new year, I'll be having my second Reiki Mastery class. So people become Reiki Masters.
Okay. Cool.
Yes, people can also join if they want to experience a sound bath themselves on November 3rd. You said that, and that's going to be a journey, a sound journey for Dia de los Muertos with a very beautiful, powerful shaman. So the two of us will be doing this. They're
Mhm.
welcome to come. I live in Irvine.
It's on November
Also,
3rd.
November 3rd is
Okay.
going to
Okay.
be a sound bath here.
Okay.
Also, on the next Saturday, there's negative energies and entities clearing with a Goja, another powerful healer. So I
Okay.
love to work, with others. And then a women's connection circle on December 7th. So I hope you can come, Trish. And
Yeah,
well,
hopefully. Yeah, and we'll link everything so people can find you. They can sign up for your newsletter and to get all your latest things as
perfect.
well. And then also November 2nd, you're going to do also a Zoom for us, which is
Yes,
going to
I
be so great
will.
in the Facebook community, but absolutely go in person whenever you can if you're not local to, to Irvine, but go to a sound bath in person. But I'm excited. It's going to be beautiful also to do it, with community, with people that are all over, people that are in other countries too, joining us. So thank you
I
for that.
love it.
Thank you for
Love
your
it. Love it.
time. And
Oh, thank
I'm just like so
you.
glad. I'm really thankful just that you came into my life too. And that you have really blessed me a lot. And you've really encouraged me a lot as I've started the podcast and whatever. I feel like I've got this little cheerleader. You're so sweet that you're like sending me positive messages like a little angel. So I really appreciate that. That's really beautiful. You're just so giving and kind with your
Thank
generosity
you.
of spirit like that. So thank you for your support.
Oh, I'm so proud of you too. Seeing another woman, another person who is growing and stepping into and following the passion. I think, you've been going to different retreats recently and doing
Mhm.
some deep, deep healing, and then you're passionate about like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do a retreat. You
Yeah.
go, girl. Good
Yeah,
for you.
thank you. Yeah, I'm excited that I've healed to now I'm like, well, I get to plan and do what I really love to do. And I'm with you. Like, let's be in some healing, loving circles, like, and just create a better world. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, okay. Well,
100%.
thank you again, Kathy. Such a blessing. And
Oh,
maybe a
thank
part two will
you.
be coming. We'll talk about that later.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.